Hello crochet crafters. Today we're building a possum amigurumi style stuffed animal. Fun for gifts or for relatives, children. What we're going to need for this project is a pair of scissors, small scissors if you have them, a plastic crochet needle, and a crochet hook. I'm using a size 6. If you don't have a 6 and you want to use a larger one or a smaller one, you can. Just remember your project is going to be commensurate in size depending on the type and size of crochet hook that you use. For yarn, you're going to need a cream, off-white, or white. Any of those will work for the face. I have 3 types of grays here. I have kind of a bluish gray, a solid gray, and I have one with a little fleck in it. And I think for a possum, this scrap fleck will work perfectly. So that's the one I'm going to use. You also need a black, and you need some kind of pink for the nose and the tail. Now, if you have acrylic, wool, or cotton, it doesn't matter. You can build this animal in any kind that you want. If you've worked with me before, you know that I'm always crazy about cotton when it comes to pot holders, but there's no reason it needs to be cotton. As a matter of fact, if you throw it in the wash, it will shrink, you know, put it in the dryer, it'll shrink up. So maybe you want to go with acrylic for this. I'm going to start with the face, which is going to be, I'm using kind of it's a yarn. It's got a little bit of a puff to it. It just happens to be some scrap yarn that I have left over, and I like to have a little bit of depth to my possum's face, so I always try to find one that's got kind of a I say fluff, some kind of fluff to it, because it just looks better. So go ahead and get your yarn onto your crochet hook, and you're going to either do a chain 2 method or a magic chain. A chain 2 method is what I'm doing. It's your crochet hook is in the second chain. Your first chain is where you're going to work all your stitches. So I'm going to work 5 single crochet stitches, and the way you do that is you just grab the yarn and pull it through. That's 1. Grab the yarn and pull it through. That's 2, and this is US crochet stitches. Grab the yarn. That's 3. I just worked my tail in. Grab the yarn. That's 4. Grab the yarn. That's 5. Now, if you have like a little gap in the middle, don't worry about it, because you're going to put the nose there, and you don't have to worry about cutting off your tail if you've worked your tail in and you have a little piece, because you're going to stuff the other side as we move along. So you don't really have to worry too much about those things. So you should count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in that first front and back loop, you're going to do 2 singles. And in the next one, you're going to just do a single crochet. We're working with single crochets for this project, and that's pretty much what we're doing. So you've done 2 and then a single, and then you're going to go back into the next one. So it's going to be 2 and 1, 2 and 1, all the way across. And if you need a stitch marker for this, by all means, please, you can put a stitch marker in so you know where you started from. And when you're back to where you started from, you should have something that looks like that. It might be smaller or larger. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing, 2 and 1. So 2 and 1. So it's 2 single crochet stitches, a single in the stitch 2. And you can meet me on the other, at the back of the next round. And the next round is just going to be singles all the way around. So if you want to place your stitch marker in and do a row of single amigurumi style. So as you go around, you're going to do just one single in each of them, because the snout is actually a little pointed. So we're not increasing this round. We're just going to do the singles all the way around. And then after we get around with that, mine are a little tight, yours are probably a little tight too. And once you get around creating your snout, your possum's snout, we're going to increase. So as we move along and we increase, you're going to increase 2 singles in the next one. So you put 2 single crochet stitches in the next one, a single in the next, 2 singles in the next. So all the way around again, you're going to be doing 2 singles and 1 stitch, a single, and then 2 singles. Which is, should be increasing it. I'm moving fast, so if you need a place marker, we're increasing. The idea is to increase every time we do the next row, but we don't want to increase to the point where we're expanding it too fast, because again, we're working with a possum and we're making the snout and then we're making the face. And we're going to stuff this with polyfill as well. So be sure that you have some polyfill or some stuffing. If you don't, you can use yarn scraps too. A lot of people do that. So fear not, if you have some extra yarn and you want to use that, you can. So the next row again is going to be the same thing. You're going to do 2 singles and then a single to increase it. 2 singles and then a single. 2 singles and then a single. 2 singles and then a single. So that should be really looking pretty good right now for my little possum. It's spelled opossum, but we're just gonna, it's called possum, but it's spelled opossum. Okay, so for the next round, what you want to do is just singles all the way around. So if you need to put your stitch marker in and count so that you have it around, we're not doing any increasing this round. I'm going to go ahead and just go all the way around. And what you're going to do is you're going to do actually 3 rounds of this. No increasing. So if you get there before me and you want to go ahead and I'm going to speed it up a little bit. It's going to be 3 more rounds of singles only so we can get this face done. And I can show you how to add the eyes. Now, if you have plastic eyes and you want to add plastic body features to this, you can. My only problem with that is that if you are giving this as a gift to someone that has a small child, or you are giving it as a gift to, you know, a toddler, or you are selling it, you have to remember that plastic pieces sometimes can come loose and they can be hazardous choking devices for children. So I tend to use yarn in most of my projects. Once in a while I use plastic features, but most of the time I use yarn to create my special and unique features because I just think it's a little more environmentally friendly too than using plastic. And a lot of people prefer to use organic cotton, unbleached cotton, which you can do for the face here because they like that look. And they just like the organic yarn. So I have another row, but yours should start to look something like this. And we're going to start decreasing at some point to make the face a little rounder, but remember, what happens is now we're going to be adding those ears and that body and really making it shine. So go ahead and get your 3 rounds in. I'm going to count my 3 rounds in a minute. And this yarn is a little tight. Quite have my 3 rounds up on the top here, so I just have a if you've used white's fine. In the real world, the possum has kind of an off-white face, but it doesn't matter. White, off-white, cream yarn, any light yarn, any scrap yarn you have is perfectly fine. Oops. So what you're going to do is once you get this built, you have a little snout here, and I'm almost on 1, 2, 3. I'm almost there, and you should have just 3 rows of single crochets that you've counted, and it should look similar to this. If it doesn't look exactly like mine, it's okay, because maybe I've missed a stitch or you've missed a stitch, but the bottom line in this is it's very forgiving. If you've forgotten to increase a row, it's not going to affect your outcome of your, see, I'm almost to the beginning now. I can tell where that stitch is where I began, and I'm on my row. So you should have something. I'm actually gonna use it, for some reason it puffed up a little bit there, but I'm gonna use that as the top of my possum face. Yeah. And you have one side that looks a little bit stand up more than the other. That's maybe what you want to use as your face. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my cream color yarn. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, and I encourage you to use stitch markers or place markers, whatever you need to do for your eyes. So I'm going to make my eyes, I'm going to put them on before I stuff and before I continue on. And I'm probably going to put my nose on too. So my eyes are probably going to go right here. I'm going to put them right there because the opossum's eyes are down a little bit closer to the snout than at the top right here. And then my ears are going to go here, and then my pink nose will go here. So I'm going to pull my hook out of here for right now. And it's easier if you go ahead and put the eyes on before you continue on. And then we're going to go ahead and do I'm going to cut a piece of black yarn, if you want to cut a piece of black yarn, and kind of make a hole where I want these to go. And the great unique thing is you can double this and you can knot it, because what's going to happen is from the back, you're going to work it in from the back, and it's going to be stuffed. So whatever you've put, placement of those eyes, it's going to be fine, because I actually like that a little bit better. So see, all of this inside of here is not going to show. So unlike my pot holders that I do, it is perfectly okay to do that. Now, the possum has little beady eyes, and they're kind of close together. They're not far apart like some other animals. So for the possum, you want to make sure that your eyes are kind of close together, because they're beady. They're little beady possum eyes. Those look really cute. I love them. I love them. I love them. So they came out really cute. And all I have to do in here is sort of knot off with the other one. I can actually even tie it, because you know what? I can leave all this yarn in here. It's just not going to matter, because I'm going to stuff it. You'll never see it. So if you've done any other projects with me, you know I'm not, if you do a pot holder, you have to be very neat. But these animals, on the inside, you can be very sloppy, because it's not, again, it's just going to add to the puffiness of the animal. So the next thing I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to go ahead and add the pink snout while we're here, because why not? We can do that as well. And this yarn is a little bit thinner. This is the only pink yarn that I had available for this project today. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because the one thing about the embellishments that you're putting on, you know, the face, the eyes, the ears, the nose, I guess all of the add-ons, it doesn't really matter, because you can use whatever size you want and just double it or triple it, whatever. So the possum's nose is quite a large pink area, and I used a light pink, and I'm going to go, and it's so easy to see, because I'm going to go back and forth right where I started this big circle, and I'm going to make the entire nose the big circle, his nose, because possums have pretty good size snout. Now, if you want to use a thicker yarn for the snout, you certainly can, and you don't have to go as round as much as me. Because I'm using a thinner yarn, and this is what I had for my project, I'm using a little bit of a thicker, more of a stitch, put it that way. And now I've decided I'm going to go this way around to kind of give the snout definition and make it pointy. So if you saw, I went one way with the stitches, and now I'm going the other way. And again, that's because the possum has that little pink nose, and it really stands out for sniffing out food. I am actually not seriously crazy about how this nose turned out. So I think And then I think I'm going, because I'm not crazy about it. So I am actually going to leave that for now, but I'm going to work on it later. And I'll work on it in another series. And if you guys have a snout that turned out a little bit better than mine, that's okay. I love the eyes, not crazy about the snout. So I'm going to fix that. But what we're going to do right now is something fun. We're going to add the ears. And the ears are a lot of fun because you're going to add them before you continue on with your body. And we're also going to stuff this. So this part we're going to do the ears, and then the next part we'll do the adding the body on. So the ears are one of those things where they're just a little bit farther apart than the eyes. So if you kind of go like this is where you would put the ear, and if you kind of go like this is where you would put the ear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 loops right here for the ears, and I'm going to attach my yarn by wrapping it on the back of my project through that, and then chaining 1. Now, you don't have to worry about working the tail in because it's just going to go right in there. So I usually, and then you're just going to go into the same stitch and just do a single crochet. And then right here you're going to go into the next stitch and do a single crochet. And then you're going to chain 1, and you're going to do 2 stitches in the next one. When you turn your work, you do 2 stitches, and in the next one you do 2 stitches. So you started out with 2, and you should count 4 now. Chain 1 and turn. So that should be just about where you've got an ear. And now we're going to decrease. So if you don't know how to decrease, let me show you again. So you go in 1, pull it through, in the next, pull it through. And we're decreasing so that we give that possum a little curl, a little curled ear. Okay, so tie off, pull your yarn through. And when you work that through, you're going to go ahead and work that through. And when you work it through, you're going to pull it tight. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. And then you're going to do the other ear on your own. And then I'm going to meet you back for part 2 to do the stuffing in the body. So work your crochet, your tail through like this, and bring it back through the bottom and curl it. Perfect. I love the ear. And again, if you want to just tie this, you can to the other tail, because guess what? It's all going to be stuffed. So tie it tight, and it will pull that little ear around. If you stuff it in. Perfect. Came out so cute. So repeat that for the other side, and I'll meet you back here for part 2 on how to create a possum.